where arts and adventure summits the airwaves. This is the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. I'm our Brandon Long, along with
Todd Oberndorfer.
We're your hosts for the greatest arts and adventure podcast in all the land. And weird, but we're doing essentially another beer episode. It's like we never do these, Todd. Oh,
there's going to be a lot of surprise listeners out there.
Yeah. Well, happy to have Jackie back from Ogden Beer Company and King. Yeah. It's duh. So Ogden Beer Company brewer and just knows more about beer than I think anyone probably should. And she's phenomenal when she talks about it. So we'll dive deep on what's going on there, Ogden Beer Co., as we drink some of the goods. And even did a collab with Salt and Hops. And so we have Mary, what's it say? Queen of
Cerveza. That's my other name tag when I'm working ashore.
Queen of Cerveza at the store, right? Sort of, but dialing in. And that is so cool. That's what the store looks like there, Salt and Hops.
That's a pretty recent picture. Yeah, I thought it'd be a cool background for the show.
It's an excellent background for the show, and it, honest to God, looks like you're there. So that's
live from the store.
Yeah, we'll ride with that. So let's kind of jump. And then we also have Greg. Sorry, Greg. Don't mean to pass you. Greg Evans, Salt and Hops as well. Let's start with Greg in the corners. Greg put himself there. I just want to point that out. Greg, how did you and Mary meet? And talk to us about the evolution of this store in town now that we have that has a plethora of cervezas.
Yeah, indeed. Mary and I met at some point in high school, and
at some point
at some party drinking beer, of course.
Yeah.
And we've known each other for, we figure, about 40 years, and we've always just kind of seen each other at parties. And Mary's wife Robin and I, we grew up pretty good friends, and when Mary and Robin got married, Mary and I became closer, and during COVID, we both went remote with our regular jobs. And, after a year, we were really super bored of being home alone. So we decided to break it up by working over at the Salty Creative Studios a couple of days a week. And we, at some point, bought a ping pong table over there. And Mary Mary and I would have ping pong competitions, and we actually had a trophy, and at the end of the week, whoever won the most games got the trophy for the next week.
Where's the trophy now?
It's still over there.
Okay.
So, and we both of us, hopefully maybe my boss might dial in and listen to this later, but things were going so well at work.
You just played ping pong all day.
But we decided we wanted to maybe venture out and see if we could figure something out that we didn't have to necessarily work for the man anymore. And we've learned that this isn't it.
wait. We're going right to the
we're not ready to retire just yet. So
no, we just kicked around some different ideas, and let's do something fun and different. And we've always both loved beer, and Robin drinks Mary's wife drinks gluten-free beer, and to find a good beer, you had to really, the best place in town besides the breweries was pretty much Harmon's. And, even then it was somewhat mediocre. And, unless you wanted to travel to all the breweries to pick up their best beers, it was really limited, and we said, okay, well, let's just try this. So we started in August, on the way to Vegas in August of 21. We started formulating a plan in our heads and conversation in the car on the way to Las Vegas, and got back at some point, and we got to work. And, by December we had coolers on order, and we had a liquor license and a business plan and a loan. And by, the end of, I guess it was the end of January, we had a soft opening. And, some things have kind of grown, and, partnerships with people like Jackie and a lot of the other brewers have kind of, those things have grown and kind of percolated to the top. And we feel like we've got a pretty good recipe of, our selection is probably, I would say, the best one shop, one place where you can get the best selection in Utah. At least something that supports mostly Utah breweries. We do venture out a little bit, but aside from Utah breweries, we go deep on the distribution list on, beers that you don't find anywhere else, but maybe Slackwater or the Angry Goat. But
which is pretty good. Mary, did you have retail experience before this? What was your experience with opening a beer store?
None. I mean,
Okay.
like Greg said, right? We had these other careers working for corporate overlords and day in, day out on Zoom since the pandemic, right? And meetings and things. And so, our way to blow off some steam was play ping pong and drink some beers, at the end of the day, or especially on Fridays. But yeah, no experience for me in retail ever. It was just a fun idea. It's like, we can't find the beer we like, so let's open a store to solve that problem.
I kind of love that. Just diving right in. What was one of the first hard lessons you learned?
So I'll tell you, when Greg said, we ordered the coolers, so that was the easy part. But they got delivered on January 5th in a snowstorm, and they did not fit through the doors. We had to take the wheels off, lift up those heavy damn things and get the wheels off so we could barely slide them in the door the first day we got them. And we just, that was our first challenge, right, Greg? I don't, if you had anything before that, but just, right.
Adapt and overcome right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And we got them in and they're there. And I don't know that we'll get them out, but
yeah. Just another funny story about that is, so we were starting to talk to the distributors, right? We were talking to our friends, right? We didn't know what to order, how to curate it really, how we're going to get all our hands on all these good beers. And, we had some of the reps come to our space before, it was as cool looking as it is now. And, they were kind of skeptical we could make this work. But, here we are almost 3 years later, selling a lot of beer that I don't think they sell a lot of just generally, right? Because we're such a specialized store. But right, Greg, there were some folks
they had bets that we weren't going to make
it.
No.
We weren't going to make it. Yeah. They just thought it was a crazy idea and in a crazy neighborhood too. I mean,
I lost the money.
You
bet against us?
He took the
Not saying a word.
Shoot. Yeah, the neighborhood. So how'd you find the space? You were there playing already. So
my wife and I own the space. We bought it in 2015, and we had dreams of a studio space for her work, and we both built offices out down there. And unfortunately she was diagnosed with breast cancer shortly into that venture, and so we kind of adjusted, and we had a lot of events there, and it really kept the studio going for us. Just music events and weddings and funerals and showers and parties and whatnot. But that basically kept us going through her treatment, and then we kind of continued that on until COVID, and we got a little bit lucky during COVID because where I worked for a catalog, and they do a lot of photography, and they needed a separate studio space that was away from the crew so they could keep a crew isolated. And so they dedicated that space for part of their photo shoots. And, in the corporate world, it's good money, right? It's decent money to kind of keep that going. So, and then that slowed down, which is when Mary and I, kind of started working out of there a little bit, and came up with this idea.
How much beer do you drink on a weekly?
I was gonna let's go. Let's take it back even just a little further, because I was curious about that too. Your own personal journeys in beer, and how important is that, or do you just surround yourself by brilliant beer, knowledge?
That's why we have Todd here.
What's the mix of both?
That same question in a much better way.
Yeah. So, for me, I kind of went back and forth between whiskey and beer, and I love good beer. I love a good IPA, and I love a good pale. And I'm not a daily drinker by any means, but I'm a weekend warrior for sure.
Going
and
Friday through Sunday.
Quite honestly, I probably drink less now than before we opened the store. Just you kind of get tired of it after a while. I know, I try more beers now. We try a lot. We try everything that comes in the door. Mary and I usually share a beer when we try a beer, but I've tried to really, my wife's afraid that I'm going to become an alcoholic because I sell beer. So I'm really conscious about, just kind of dialing it back. And again, I probably drink less now than prior to opening the store.
One of my goals at the time was I wanted the best selection of Mexican lagers, anywhere, right? Because that's my favorite kind of beer. Just like we wanted to curate the best possible selection of gluten-free beers, because my wife has celiacs and that's the only kind she can drink, and it's hard to find, and a few others. But I don't drink a lot of beer. I try as many as I can. It's a real challenge, right? To be working in the store, people walk in and say, "Hey, what do you recommend? If you tried this, what do you think?"
All of them, every single one, yeah.
There's one customer who walked in one day and I said, "What's your favorite beer?" And he just said, "My next beer." I love that. And so
that's nice.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I probably have one a day. I bring stuff when I usually work on Saturday. I buy stuff and bring it home if I haven't tried it, right? And I try it, let my family try it. The rest of my family and the kids are probably the ones who drink most of it, but I at least try it because I want to be able to tell my customers, right? Hey, I tried this and I like it, or I like this one less or this one more. But
we try them all. We
try. We try
them all. We've even tried most of our non-alcoholic beers, and
which are
because we want a valid opinion. And there are beers when I'm like, you know what, you don't want to buy that, and you just kind of you get a sense for what kind of beers people aren't going to necessarily like, and it's just there's some beers that we sell because they're popular, but honestly, there's just some beers that you don't want to drink,
Well, and really too, Greg, right? It was getting everybody together, our friends, right? And just tell us, what kind of beer do you like, right? Favorite. Our people that help us run the store, Kai and Blake and Todd, our manager now, they are so knowledgeable about beers they love, IPAs, sours, pale ales, right? These are the guys you want to come into the store and talk to, for a recommendation, but they all helped us originally figure out what we should try first. And really, we just totally rely on them, right? To help us gauge, what to keep buying, what to try next. But yeah,
and what's selling. And so, and I don't know what POS system you use there, but they're awesome these days. And it tells you where your sales are. And so I'm curious to know if there's a certain, it's going to be seasonal, but like what sold well this summer, maybe.
Yeah. There's a few beer. Well, anything that Jackie produces, we honestly, our beer.
There's a collab beer too.
Yeah. We've never sold 30 cases of any beer in a 10-day period ever. And there's a couple of beers from TF that over the course of 3 years, of course, we've sold a lot of it, but not in that short of, that amount of time. The 1851, and that beer was in 2 different labels, and it didn't matter which beer we bought. We'd buy them both at the same time.
The Liquid Luck that we do. We white label that for Lucky Slice. So that 1851 is Liquid Luck as well.
And we go to Ogden Beer Call every week almost without fail, and then there are other beers that are seasonal, like pumpkin beers, and Keto's does the Big Gay Ale, and then they do the Green Glitter beer, and those beers have slowed way down. But the first year we were open, we probably sold 10 cases of those during that season. And we have a beer out of from Lone Pine Brewery that consistently we sell. It's a pumpkin beer, and we sell 15 cases every September, October. But the 30 cases from the collab beer between Ogden Beer Co. and us, we sold 30 cases of that in, I don't know, maybe it wasn't 10 days, Mary, because I went.
Well, we were out in 2 weeks, except for
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, which
let's talk about that collab. But before we get there, the pro tip on the pumpkin beers is dropping in the fire whiskey before you,
the Fireball.
If you don't know that pro tip, then that's the move. Jackie, how did you come up with the collab beer?
Well, we want to always support local. And Greg and Mary are awesome, and Salt and Hops is such a gem in Ogden, and really in Utah, because there's nothing like it in Salt Lake. And I always, for my personal beer stash, I have to go down to Salt Lake, do my little like brewery jog around, pick up all the beers.
You poor thing.
Right. It sucks. It's awful.
Turned into work.
Yeah.
Worst.
Yeah, it's the worst.
She has a job. God.
Yeah. So for me, it's really convenient to get off of work, stop by Salt and Hops, and get the same thing that I would have had to drive to and from Salt Lake and sit in traffic for. So that it's just been like amazing for me as a consumer, and then just for the beer scene in Ogden too. We have a small little beer scene up here, so we got to support everyone. And we had just been talking. I think it kind of came about forever ago. I was talking to Kai about doing like a lavender beer for Lavender and Vinyl, and then when Salt and Hops started, I was like, okay, well, we're actually going to do a collab. We'll make this happen. So Greg and Mary and I had been talking about it we probably talked about it when I moved over to Ogden Beer Company, and then just made it happen. So,
and what beer did you brew?
So it is Kickstart Kolsch. We actually entered it in GABF too. So it's off in Denver, being judged very heavily right now. Probably as we speak. If
like real-time feedback?
Yeah, oh no, we won't find out anything until October.
Okay.
But it's one of 4 beers that we entered. And I threw it out to them and said, hey, like I really want to brew a Kolsch for GABF. They've been big fans of Kolsch's, and they were throwing some names around, and they were saying, oh, well, we kind of like Kickstart, we're scooter fans. So it worked. The alliteration was awesome. So we settled on a Kolsch. Everybody came over. We did a hop rub. Salt and Hops picked the hops that were going in it. So
Todd, have you done a hop rub before?
It was my first time too. I was
really
okay. It was Mary's
that seems
first
like
time.
a really private question. Yeah.
Yeah. Jackie does them all the time.
I do them all the time.
Yeah.
These terms are wonderful.
I love it. That's so.
But yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, and let's talk about Ogden Beer Company, Jackie, because all I see you is putting out new stuff. Like you're on a roll here.
Yeah, well, it's I guess like one of the fun things about being a brewery that's almost 2 years old. Like almost everything that we put out is new.
Sure.
So we're still in like the kind of infancy stages of a brewery, doing a lot of R&D. We're just throwing out new stuff all the time.
Is that the ethos to just try stuff and see?
Yeah, just pretty much, especially like post-COVID, right? Like with beer, it really is like try different things and kind of see what sticks. And don't tie yourself to any one beer. Constantly change and evolve, or you'll become irrelevant.
Which is good for Salt and Hops because they got to keep carrying all the new beers.
Well,
and that seems like that's what all the brewers are doing, is just kicking out new beers and new beers.
Yeah.
There's, just in my research of what we've sold in the last 3 years, people in the craft beer industry, that they're always looking for the next new thing. It's not, you can see there's some brands that kind of, they're decent, but it's been the same thing for the last 5 years. And, I still have this theory, if you just change the label on a beer, sales would improve for a while on that beer.
So like you go from beer, like Coors Light to Coors Lighter.
Yeah.
Well, and we're talking about,
real
yeah,
beer.
Real beer, right?
Real beer.
No, but that is a question, and it's hard so I think it's great for the store because you guys can just carry all like everything that comes out. But as far as a brewer goes, is it stressful to keep up or find trends, or what's that world like?
It definitely is. And that like trying to hunt the trend and and try and figure out like what is going to be doing well, what's going to sell. And really the things that sell are drinkable beers, repeatable beers. So beers that you want to buy in a 6-pack instead of like, I just want to buy this one 16-ounce can. So that's kind of what that would be the trend that we chase, is just like repeatable drinkable beers. Nothing.
Do you know the number one selling can? It's like, what's the bigger, taller can? 16.
Oh, the 16 ounces. Yeah.
What's the number one selling 16 ounce?
Oh,
in the state?
In the
States.
Oh, it's got to be, I would say High Point. It would have to be Ferda, I would think.
Ferda or that Red Helifino or
yeah,
one of those.
I was surprised it was one of those, because it's not one of the big brands. It's a good beer.
Yeah, I would think. I feel like now it's probably Ferda. Just like hearing some of the numbers that TF does, and how quickly they have to make that beer, I'm like, it's probably Ferda. Yeah. I know we do, one of the things that we do at Ogden Beer Company is, and again, it's like, it's in the, like the whole, the realm of collaborative efforts and just supporting everybody, is we have a bunch of High Point guest beers, and I will tell you, Ferda is our number one High Point beer. It outsells our own High Point. So yeah,
at the restaurant.
Yeah, not to go. We can't sell High Points to go that are not ours. But
TF definitely they have a reputation. I actually, I mean, that Wicked Sea Party Pale that they do is probably our overall number one selling beer.
Yeah.
Or the Fisher Cerveza, maybe, just because we've, for 3 years, those 2 beers have been around. But
yeah,
there are other brewers in the state, Jackie included, that I think are, probably comparable in quality. And
we're all chasing Kevin. It's okay.
Kevin's TF.
Kevin's TF.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
But you introduced me and Todd to these collabs years ago, which I didn't know. I come from retail, Mary, so if you have questions, I grew up in retail, and small retail. Even I've worked big box, I've worked small local retail. I can tell you what not to do, essentially. But I didn't. It's very competitive.
If anybody has any questions too, I did put in 4 or 5 years at the
Slack
Blockbuster videos.
Oh, the Blockbuster.
Let's not forget that. I know trends.
Start making videos, Greg. That's coming back.
Yeah.
Well, we're bringing that back, Todd. So for sure. But it's very competitive. The world, retail is very competitive, and so I was used to this competitive mindset and things. And then I'm talking to Jackie, and Jackie introduces us to this. Well, they collab. You guys work with other breweries, and you do all the time. I think you're one of the best collabers in town.
Yeah, we try. I'm trying to really like hold on to that title of collab queen.
Yeah.
I try and at least have one collab on at all times. And we do have 2 right now. So we still have the Salt and Hops on draft. We don't have a lot of it left, but we do have a little bit of that Kolsch left in draft at Ogden Beer Company. And then what you're drinking right now is a collab that we did with Ketos.
Which I love Keto's beer.
Yeah, so that's our job. Dark Czech lager. That's a style that I've, again, like talking about kind of chasing trends and whatnot. And that is not a trendy beer, but that is a style that for me personally and professionally as a brewer,
it's damn good beer.
I have wanted to do and like do really, really well for a very long time. And Patrick, who was at Offset, who's been at Uinta, Patrick Bork, he's an amazing brewer. He and I messed around and have been playing around with that recipe for a little bit. And I'm really proud of that beer. So,
and we just finished the Ogden Beer Co. Fisher collab.
Oh yeah, yep. So that was another one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we did those are some of my really good friends in the industry. We boat, so they're like beer friends and like actual friends. We go rafting together. So
what do you call that? Heroes, bros.
Yeah, they're just like, it just shows that like your beer friends are your real friends.
Yeah.
Right.
You should have that on a shirt.
Yeah.
My beer friends are my real friends. And sell it down there at the store. So
yeah.
Jackie, how do you make a unique beer, but not so unique that it's not because most of the unique ones are like one and done, because it's like, oh, great beer, but then you can't drink a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. I think that the best way is like trying to find something that's unique that stands out about an ingredient that you're using, maybe like rather than doing a triple fruited double dry hopped sour IPA that you're going to have one and be like, okay, cool, that was an experience, but it was also a very expensive beer to make. And it's a one and done thing. I think it's really cool to kind of seek out different ingredients, maybe new hops that are still in like the experimental stage, or a yeast that isn't really being used a lot, or maybe you're using like some heritage malt from either like North Carolina or Oregon, where it's a small little malt farm, or even Utah. We have our own maltster here in Utah, Solstice Malt. So it's more about, for me, finding like new fun ingredients, but making the overall beer style still really drinkable. So
is that what they look for in the competition? Like, what do they judge?
Oh gosh, so I always say, like, this probably is the nerd in me, but I'm always
bring it out.
Right? I'm like, a beer competition. The closest thing to like a beer competition would be like a dog show, which again, it's like, a lot of people are probably like, cool, I don't like dog show. What?
I love dog shows.
Right? Like, so it doesn't
but it's
matter.
Up to you to judge, really.
Right? Well, so, and it doesn't matter like how cute that dog is or anything like that. So it doesn't really matter how good the beer tastes or how drinkable the beer is, but you have a set of style guidelines that is like, it should be this color, it should be this bitter, it should be this alcohol content.
Oh, really?
So it's how well that beer fits those guidelines. And if you made that beer to the stylistic guidelines better than somebody else. So, I mean, it could be like our 1851 is our best seller at OBC, like not by far, but it still, I mean, it outsells our Cerveza. And so that proves it's a super drinkable beer, but like, is it a great example of an American craft lager? I don't know. We'll find out. Like, we'll find out in October. So,
do you like the guidelines? Does it keep you
I think like competitions, you can take competitions with a grain of salt. It's nice to have that pat on the back that it's like, yes, you can make a stylistically correct beer, but like, a medal is great marketing, but a medal doesn't mean you're going to sell beer. So the fact that you can make great,
people
beers,
use it too, but that doesn't mean, because they'll lead with that, they'll market it, won this award, won that award, but the sales is what matters.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So if you're not making a good drinkable beer, then that's what's most important, is making a good drinkable beer that people will buy.
Yeah.
And good branding. So, right?
Oh, and a good label.
And a good label. so
if our beer wins a medal, do we get to go somewhere for a medal ceremony? Will it be first, second, third podium?
No, because you don't find out. Like, I will be in Denver, but yeah, you don't find out unless you're like on the Denver, in the hall at the convention center, and they call your name out. There's like everything is so top secret. Basically, there's no chance that you will know if you've won unless you're there and you find out. So,
would you be a judge ever?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that have yelled at me because I haven't applied to judge at GABF yet. So I have multiple recommendations. I just haven't actually done the submission. So.
How do you what year are you into brewing now?
Oh God, I'll be coming up on 10 years in January.
Okay, so. 10 years. And there's brewers in this town right here, Steve, who's been doing it for a
long time, over 30, because he's been with Rooster since they started, and he was brewing before that. So
you just love, like, you don't get tired of it, like you just love it? Are there ever days where you're like,
there are definitely, there are definitely days, especially because it's a production environment. So there's definitely days when things break, and when things don't go right, when you kind of have to like take a step away from everything and say, okay, like, I have to recenter myself. This is beyond frustrating. Really, like 95% of the job is being like a maintenance or janitorial person. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wild. It's all cleaning or like fixing broken things. So.
Mm-hmm. And people like yourself, you get away sometimes.
Yeah. Yep. You have
those days are pretty important.
Yeah. You definitely have to have your like get away and don't think about beer. Don't talk about beer. Like,
but maybe drink some beer.
Yeah. But drink some beers on the river, or like drink some beers backpacking.
So I have a question. I think you touched on it before. I brought this up with somebody the other day. That phrase, making a fetch happen. Do you remember that from Clueless, right? one of the girls wants to make a catchphrase or something like that. But when was the last time that you really wanted to try to make it work? Like a beer that you were just sold on and it just didn't catch on. And that applies to even choosing certain beers to sell that you are just sold on it. You know that people are going to love it, but it just didn't connect.
We've done like the most recent one. I did a nitro on sour, and it's like a fruited nitro on sour. And there's a whole like theory behind doing a sour on nitro because it kind of like mellows out the sourness. It brings out the fruit profiles, and it's doing well. But it's not like I was hoping it would just, we would burn through that batch in the summer and then like be on to a dark beer. And then that red cerveza that you're drinking, that's my latest that I'm like, I will make this trend happen. Like
I love it.
A red cerveza, it's going to be a thing.
That's
like that will be a style. So that's like my big one that I'm making fetch happen with that beer. I will make a red cerveza a style. So
I'm sold. What about in the store? Have y'all made nothing but just positive decisions?
It's actually kind of surprising, but that our hibiscus wheat ale, which is like, it's just so, it's like the non-beer beer.
Oh.
And it's probably our lowest seller. But that in the store, but I mean, it goes towards just kind of drinking trends in general. Like if you want a beer, you want a beer now because there's hard seltzers. If you're out of state, you can get like the ready to drink cocktails. So if you're looking for like a non-beer beer, then you're just gonna get some other alcoholic drink instead of like a beer flavored beer.
I went there. I did try the Jack Daniel's Coca-Cola mixed combo. It's
like,
I mean, it ain't bad. I mean,
they're funky though. Those
they are funky, right?
Yeah, they're just something's weird about them.
Do you sell mixed drinks at the store? Like those kinds? It's just beer.
Yeah.
Or can you sell malt liquor?
You can do seltzers, but not like the ready to drink cocktails, right?
We do those. We sell those.
The rules in Utah.
What are they called, Jackie? Ugh. There's like a margarita.
Oh yeah, the Epic does or the Blue Jays. They do.
Yeah, the Epic had like a ginger, mule.
Yeah.
And then they had
it was like
margarita.
That's a malt liquor, right?
It's a brewed beer. It's a brewed product. But it's kind of brewed to taste like a Moscow Mule.
Yeah.
And they're okay, but they're not like,
to me they're always too sweet.
But there's those crushable. I think they're a national brand. They're kind of
seltzers, aren't they?
They're kind of seltzers, but I can't remember what they're called, but they do pretty well. People like flavored, the ciders are the one thing that we get a lot of questions about that you can't, it doesn't exist. Right?
Buzzballs.
At 5%. Reds.
What was that, Mary?
I said a lot of people walk in and ask if we have buzzballs.
Oh, yeah.
If they know, they just walk right out.
Yeah.
I don't know what those are.
Those are, it's like little shots. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't even know what they are.
Oh, they have them in Wyoming. You have to go to Wyoming for
it. We've got a lot of Wyoming people roaming the streets of Ogden looking for.
No, but we get a lot of people who've seen something somewhere. And, can you guys get this? And it's hard to explain Utah law.
Yeah, a lot of people from out of town, right? Because they Google liquor stores, and we come right to the top of the list. They walk in our store thinking, we're more than just beer, and so we get to explain Utah liquor laws to all the tourists.
We come up above the liquor store when you search.
A, I love that.
Yeah.
And then B, Mary, can you explain on like layman's terms here? Why you can do what you do? Like, how do you, because you're selling beer, but you're not in a state sponsored whatever. Like, what is it?
Yeah. I mean, the answer is, we're just a convenience store, right? We have an off-premise license, just like 7-Eleven or Maverick, right? So we can't sell over 5%, no matter what it is, right? Beer, seltzer, anything else that, we think is legal to sell. So we're just limited to that, right? So I mean that's why we use the term beer convenience store, because
I like that.
that's how we are licensed, right?
Yeah.
We're a convenience store, you know, on paper. We just sell awesome beer, right? And leave the rest to 7-Eleven, Maverick, the Sunshine Market across the street from us, right, to sell the Keystone 18 packs or, you know. But
I think there should be beer convenience stores all over the state. That's all I'm saying.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. But so what is the dream? I mean, maybe you're not there yet because you're 2-3 years in and you're like, yeah, this is a little harder than I thought because it's retail and it's weird because it's liquor laws in Utah. So, but in a dream scenario, how do you see it playing out as far as the store goes?
You know, I think Mary and I's goal was always to try and maybe build something for when we retire in the next few years that we can just, we make a little money and it's a hobby and we both really enjoy it and we love like meeting Jackie. I would have never, had an opportunity to work with Jackie and the beer community is really close and people really do for the most part look out for each other and obviously there are exceptions, but people are very super friendly with each other and we're trying to grow to the point now where we can maybe make some money, Mary and I, and we're trying some different ideas and excuse me, Jackie's given us some different ideas and we'll just see, but it's just hard to work a full-time job and grow to the point where you don't have to work the full-time job anymore and either commit. We've had requests. We have people say, open a second location in Murray. And one of us would probably have to quit.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, for sure. We do get traffic. We get traffic from Salt Lake and we do, people's make a point to stop when they're on their way to Brigham City from Salt Lake. And we have good customers that live in Tremont.
It's because there's no beer in Brigham City.
Well, yeah.
Probably not.
We've thrown a lot of things at the wall and we keep the things that stick and let everything else go. And we've kind of dialed in, I think, we've dialed in something pretty good. And, we've never lost money. We're our best customers, Mary and I, but we've never lost money.
Yeah.
When you're a little short on payroll, Mary and I's beer fridges are completely full or whatever.
Right.
It's, it's fun. And
y'all are good owners
until we get tired of it. And
yeah,
there were times when we were month to month, whether or not we wanted to. It's definitely a strain on a friendship. For sure.
My dream is when I tell my boss I'm leaving, my day job, it's just that I'm going to leave and I'm going to go sell beer and I'm done with, my
Zoom calls.
Yeah, no more Zoom calls.
Do you want to rehearse that?
It's so much fun.
That explains why you're so good at backgrounds too. Cause
I'm on Zoom all day long, as Greg knows. That's my bread and butter right now. But it is fun. And, we really tapped into something, that, we think is sustainable. Like I say, we've been doing this, like Greg said, we've not lost money. We keep the lights on, we keep our employees paid. But, it's still nothing yet to retire on. Or even just, retire early and have some kind of an income. We got to figure out, what's the longer term plan, and which we talk about quite a bit. But for 3 years in, for a new small business with, kind of no idea what we were doing, except for we wanted a store with a lot of great beer. Like I say, I've been so happy with it, but it's not the retirement plan yet, is it, Greg?
No, but there's a great community, like not just in the beer industry itself, but there's a great community in Ogden. And, you and I talk,
which matters, by the way.
Yeah. And I walk in and I haven't seen Dyer for 2 years. And you know what I mean? There's just a really great community. Patty's out there doing a open mic or whatever. And, it's just, and I think as a community, we're kind of on the cusp of growth. And I think a lot of these things that have been happening for the last, 5 or 6 years and trying to turn Ogden around are just now starting to pay off. And, we'll see. We're one recession away from something different happening. But
well, I'm honestly surprised no one tried it before, because Slackwater had a lot of beers, and they were successful because they had a lot of beers. And there were some bars in Salt Lake that were successful because they had a lot of beers. It would only make sense to have a store in town that has a lot of beers.
But you probably couldn't have done it a few years ago because of the 3.5.
That's
they
true.
changed.
Yeah,
Oops, sorry,
true.
they
I
changed
forgot about
that, and that kind of opened that up a little bit. And it's we can't forget we're in Utah. We're in Utah, so there's a lot of headwinds when you're trying to do anything when it comes to liquor.
God, I wish we were adults here.
I know.
Yeah.
Nice.
10 years, guys. 10 years. Once the next, Olympics, just
we'll
wait.
have a
That's what I've
2-year
been
window.
talking about.
Yeah, just keep. Yeah, something's gonna happen. Just,
Jackie, what's your dream law change for in the next 10 years here?
So what I think might be the easiest to get, just to kind of like convince lawmakers, because of, again, like we're a control state, right? And DABS needs to control everything. So DABS, they're not DABC anymore, they're DABS. My number one hope, and this is obviously like because I'm at a brewery, but would be to be able to sell what we make on draft on site, because it's like so expensive for us to put everything that's High Point into a can, to pay for label design, to wait for approval. We have to go through a federal approval. We have to go through a state approval.
What's the reason they won't let you? They just
because again, it's like the 5% limit, 5% on draft.
Even in your own
even
place.
in our own place. So that's I feel like the lowest hanging fruit would be to say, hey, we can control all of this. We can limit the pour size. You don't get like 16 ounces of a 9% beer. You get 12 ounces or whatever. So that is my number one hope. Any
guesses on how many more breweries there are in Utah now than back in the first Olympics?
Oh man.
30.
God, yeah, probably. So even from the time that, and so like basically in the 10 years since I've been brewing, when I started brewing, there were about, I think, 2,300 craft breweries registered with the Brewers Association in the US, which that's not a lot. So now we've been hovering right around 10,000 in the US. So I mean, that's 10 years.
Yeah.
So, and I can look at the numbers. I was just looking at the numbers, but 2002, God, in Utah, it would have been Uinta, Roosters, Moab, Desert Edge, Red Rock, Wasatch Squatters. I think Bohemian was 98-ish or 2000. Yeah. So maybe Boho, but like, what was that
we could name them all?
Yeah. Right. Like 6-7 breweries.
And now, like every couple of months, there's somebody new that's popped up.
Yeah.
Do they knock on your door? Do they search you out yet, or you guys?
They should.
Some people do. You mean the brewers?
Right.
Yeah. So, Tim,
shelf space.
Tim from Chappelle, he contacted us, and Level Crossing contacted us. Roosters they've always been really good to us, and. And then some of them we contact, and some of them get it, right? I mean, we're doing free marketing, and we're buying your product, and we're selling your product, and we're giving you, marketing for free, and it helps, right? People, Fisher tell us that people go down there and say, hey, I buy your beer from Salt and Hops, and I just wanted to come down and check this place out.
That's awesome.
Cody from Bewilder, he's been really good to us, and he kind of understands that, beer margins are very low. Obviously Jackie gets it, and we wish everyone did, and we genuinely want to help local breweries. We're not making money, so we're not doing it for that. But there is a goal, hopefully, at some point that we make some money, but. We truly just we had a podcast with David from, he's at Keto
Masters.
Yeah. And, he gets it, right? He's like, I get it, you guys, and we just truly want this industry in Utah to succeed. I mean, part of it's rebellion for me, right? Because you get so tired of Big Brother telling you what you can and can't do, and it's not like we're not breaking the law, but we're pushing the law. We're pushing it a little bit further, maybe, or at least what we're doing is helping people realize that we can be responsible.
Yeah, keep pushing.
I think a nice little follow up on that, because we have Jackie here now, is give us like a 2-minute like state of beer in Utah in 2024. Like has anything new happened this year? Are you seeing any sort of changes? And I'm not talking what people are drinking, just in general
state of
production of beer. Yeah.
I think like the collaborative effort we're seeing that increasing. There's a much more like collaborative feel to beer. And definitely like we're lucky. There are a bunch of breweries, craft breweries are closing all over the US. Big craft breweries are closing all over the US. Like massive names that you would think would never close. And we are lucky, knock on all the wood. We really haven't lost that many breweries in Utah. We haven't seen a ton close. So that's good. Like our community, because it is so tight knit and so collaborative, I think that we're weathering the storm. And
unconditional support from Utah legislators.
Right. Unconditional support from Utah legislators. I think that's the biggest thing, is just educating them. It's hard to it's such a taboo subject for them, and they just they don't understand alcohol or like the craft beer industry as a whole and what we contribute to the economy. Just kind of how like the people that we employ, how it truly is like.
I wish they had to partake in order to write the legislation.
Right? Yeah, and then they'd be a little bit looser when they were writing things, right? Like that would be nice. But just it's hard to like educate somebody that doesn't want any education. That's the hardest thing.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is for they want it gone, like just gone.
Yeah, they just think that like, oh, well, it's bad and it's taboo, so like it will just disappear. Meanwhile, they're like lining their pockets with liquor store sales.
I don't think they want it.
Never worked.
I don't think they want it.
It is a little contradictory.
Yeah. But I just think like a little bit more grace from the legislators. Just like, again, treating us like adults. Everybody is responsible, especially now we have 0.05 for our BAC limit. So, you dropped us from 0.08 to 0.05, and everyone's been really responsible. People like we haven't really seen a lot of people getting like a 0.06.
So does the state make money off like your store?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so then why would they not want more sales? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because it's the devil's juice.
I mean, to piggyback onto your.
Wait, are you brewing that? Are you brewing the devil's juice?
Yeah, that's
our next seasonal.
Should be coming around Halloween, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God. All right. Well, that's good stuff. I appreciate you being here, Mary. Sorry you were sick and couldn't be in the trailer, but thanks for keeping us.
Yeah, well, this was great. Virtually.
Well, you look well, and we get to see what the store looks like. Everyone watching the podcast and visuals are
it's like I said, it's a very recent shot of the store and our two coolers and our little singles cooler that just died, right, Greg?
Oh no!
We had a cooler.
We're in the market for new singles cooler. If anybody knows where we can get one.
One that will fit through the door. We have to give us the dimensions.
That one's a little smaller, it looks like, so it should be okay. But it looks great down there. I love the store. I love going there before an event where I'm trying to impress someone, and that's sometimes it's a Tuesday night at my house, and I'm just trying to impress me. So you go to Salt and Hops and you buy a beer, and you're like, "This is nice," and that's what you do. Jackie, give us your spiel on the Ogden Brewing Company and what we got to look forward to going into the fall, and then we'll wrap it up with you, Todd.
We just got our first 2 Dabs store placements. So you'll be able to find our High Point New School, which is Dabs. It's our IPA. So you'll be able to find our IPA on 10 store shelves in Utah liquor stores. And then also our dark Mexican lager that is 6% that has not been released yet got shelf space too. So we'll have 2 beers in liquor stores, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And then just a bunch of fun collabs coming out. We have a double IPA in the works as well. That one will be only available at the brewery. But
and visit the restaurant. Go down to
go down to the pub.
Yeah.
Sit on the patio. Like it's dog friendly, kid friendly. Right, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to eat right now?
Oh my gosh, we just released a Nashville chicken sandwich. They just did like an update on the menu. And it's really, really good. So
I'm down.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what would you pair that with?
Oh, I would pair it with the cerveza and definitely do the lime with the cerveza because the citrus and that light lager will cut all the heat. So
all right, well, we're going to cut this short and head down to grab some food.
Yeah. Dinner time.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Well, thanks for taking time for us. We're going to do this a little more regularly.
Always.
This is where
I think
Brandon and I learned what we know about beer.
Yeah.
Because at a time...
We bring Jackie in and she knows everything.
Forever ago, in the long, long ago, when we wanted our own beer podcast.
In the long, long ago, which is probably still happening at some point.
Yeah.
Which Jackie could host her own beer podcast. Easy.
Easy. That's what she does every podcast.
Yeah. Todd, what's happening in your world? Anything?
All right. If we're talking Finch Lane Gallery, right now we are between shows. And so we wrapped up a very successful show on Friday. We had a very good closing reception. We have what's called a flash project twice a year. So it's a separate, but it could be.
It could be.
Yeah. It's a separate call for proposals. We do it just once a year. And I set aside 2 free weeks over the course of the calendar year. And essentially think of it like a pop-up show, something like that. And so a traditional like 2D, 3D gallery show may not work really well for like if you wanted to do like a workshop or a dance routine or a puppet show. I need more puppet proposals, I'll be honest.
Yeah,
puppets are my favorite.
I didn't know that was a thing still.
But I do have our next flash project on Saturday, September 28th. So that's just around the corner. And it is an artist named Danny Mendez is going to do 3 20-minute performances like 7, 8, 9 p.m. So just look up Finch Lane Gallery if you need any questions on that. And then the following Friday, we'll have our next artist. Look them up. Oh my gosh, I'm stoked for this. It's kind of a printmaking painting show and then some more amazing photographs. We have, anyway, we'll talk about more of that next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Utah Humanities annual book celebration is happening all through October. Some of that will be in Ogden, but it's throughout the whole state. We produce the podcast that helps promote them. Jackie, you would be in, you got to download. It's already posted at Utah Humanities under their book festival. It's a podcast with Kevin Fedarko.
Oh
Kevin,
my God.
you know Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked with Kevin. He
I'm so jealous.
Hiked the Grand Canyon, and the way he explains, because Case asked him, did his view of water change? And the way he explained the thin blue thread that he sees in the Grand Canyon, and the way it gives me chills thinking about it. The way he uses words to explain that place is unreal. So that podcast is available under Utah Humanities Book Festival with Kevin Fedarko, who said he's a really crappy oarsman, but he is a good hiker. So there's that.
I don't believe that he's a crappy oarsman. But that's okay.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I think that's it. So also that beautiful picture behind you, Todd, I will be looking at that on Saturday night, at least Sunday morning. So I will be there this weekend in Yellowstone. And it is I think it is the best week to be in Yellowstone. The colors are changing. It's not too cold yet. It's not late October. It's not too early because if you go early September, the colors aren't in yet. So this is one of the best weekends to go. If you haven't been up there, now's the time. Kids are in school. It's a good time to go to Yellowstone.
I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Kind of half a step backwards. What do you know about these literary death matches?
I know that I recommended you.
Oh no!
But you've attended them before.
Yes, they're amazing. I thought you did too with me.
I
But
caught
maybe
the
not.
end
You
of
caught
one.
the end of one. Okay,
Yeah.
so we will chat about that. They are super intense. You have to be very intelligent to do it.
Fair.
And so that's why I'm like, you know what? Todd can handle it. Todd can handle being a judge for literary deathmatch for sure.
The only thing that I said you know
Only
that
one of those is going to be at Happy Magpie, the bookstore.
that's the one.
It is. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one Todd's going to be a judge at because I volunteered him. So,
Well, thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah.
That should be a ball.
Which is right next to the beer store, bringing this whole thing together. Thank you, Mary, very, very much for bringing that. Yes, it's going to be right there next to the beer store. We got y'all be open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have beers and deathmatch. It's going to be a wonderful
Try to
night.
stay open for all those events because it's just a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Mary, Greg, Jackie, thanks so much for being here with us on the program. We will take you out with an outdoor jukebox. Before we get to that, I want to thank Banyan One for powering. That's this trailer right here, powering today's episode of the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. You can listen and subscribe to us on YouTube. Look us up at Ogden Arts and Adventure. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. If you want to be on the show, if you're listening and you're like, these guys are kind of fun to hang out with, slip into my DMs at Ogden Adventure, and it's worked in the past. We let it.
It worked.
It worked. Yeah, it works. Jackie knows.
Yeah.
Just say, hey,
slide on into those
just
DMs.
Slide on in. Well, there's a vetting process. I don't just let anybody in there. And then we'll, we'd love to have you on the program. So if you found value in this podcast, you can give us all your money, which would be a great idea at buymeacoffee.com/Banyan Media. It's like our Patreon, buymeacoffee.com/Banyan Media. This week's outdoor jukebox is Counting Sheep, as recorded here out of our 1987 Dodge van by Congo and Co. here at the Monarch. We'll see you on the next Ogden Arts and Adventure Show.
One, two, three. Lay your head next to me, darling. I can't sleep, so I'm counting sheep. Count on us, count on food, count on all our mistakes. Elijah Priest on the cello. Softly weep, fill my head as I try to dream. Now I'm counting sheep. 1, 2, 3. I was $4 short, always 5 minutes late. Working 6 days of the week, except on Sundays, for the Lord is a good friend. But Jack Daniels is my best friend. Number 7 got me feeling some type of way. Could be them mushrooms that I ate. I got 9 lives, or 9 wives. Second go that she's a 10. Pumping gas down at the old 7-Eleven and sharing $12 cups of coffee doesn't feel quite right. 13 reasons why we should make love tonight. Got me singing yodeling. Oh yes, it Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do, babe. Darling, I love you. Got me singing yodeling-hoo. Darling, I love you. Got me singing yodeling-hoo.
Congo and Co. on Van Sessions at the Monarch.